Hello friends. Today we'll start with chapter 12, the muscular system and digestive system in human beings. Let's start with muscular system first. Okay? So, you can try this. Actually, basically, what you do is close your fist and then bend your arm, and you will experience some tightness on the upper part. Okay? So, what is this? This is the fleshy part called muscle. So, muscles contract and relax as the body moves. So, what are muscles? Muscles are bundle of fibers that contract and relax as required. So, basically, muscles they are attached to bones by tendons. Basically, if this is the bone, this is the muscle, there is a tendon. Tendon is a tissue we will deal about in much details later. When muscles contract, there is a movement at the joint, and the bones, this thing to be noted, either move nearer to or away from each other. Okay, basically, if muscles, suppose I have to, I bend my elbow towards myself. So, what happens is the muscles contract, the joint moves, and the bones move nearer to each other. Okay. Now, as they say, if basically what this paragraph says in a nutshell is that muscles are necessary for every kind of movement. Okay. Now, what we have is there are 600 muscles in the human body. Now, muscles contribute about 40% of the weight of the healthy human adult body. Okay, there are 30 muscles in the human face, and all the expressions that we make are on these 30 muscles. So, there are two types of muscles, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary, it is in our control. Involuntary is not under our control. So, as example is given, muscles in our arms and legs are involuntary muscles. When we want to move, we move them. When we don't want to move, we don't move them. So, what is involuntary? As they say, various processes like breathing, blood circulation, digestion are vital functions. Okay, they do not depend on our will. I cannot say the stomach to stop the digestion of food. Okay, so the muscles which carry out these involuntary functions are called involuntary muscles. Next, we move to types of muscles. So, as it's clearly mentioned, the three kind of muscles corresponding to that. One is skeletal muscles. So, what is this? Or how it is defined? The two ends of each of these muscles are attached to two different bones. Okay, basically, you can say that all voluntary muscles are kind of skeletal muscles. Okay, examples of such muscles are muscles of arms and legs. Okay, now what thing they are specialized in? They are also responsible for holding the bones of the skeleton together and giving shape to our body. So basically, the muscles that are concerned with the bones, they are skeletal muscles. Skeleton means bones, and skeletal muscles associated with bones. Okay. Then the next is cardiac muscles or heart muscles. You know, the heart involuntary motions have basically, if you want to specify, this is a kind of voluntary muscle, and these two come under involuntary. Now the thing is, heart muscles they have to be a separate kind of muscle because their work is unique. Heart stops, everything stops. So what are these muscles? These muscles bring about the contraction and relaxation of heart. When we say heart is beating, it is basically contracting, relaxing, contracting, relaxing. Okay. Cardiac muscles cause our heart to relax and contract continuously, rate of 70 times per minute. So that is why cardiac muscles also, if you look at the structure, they are separate than both the smooth muscles and skeletal muscles. So they have a different kind of structure. One is smooth muscles, they are present in the internal organs other than heart. Okay, basically, whatever movement is inside the body and involuntary, they are controlled by smooth muscles. Okay, as we say, various vital functions of our body, of which we remain quite aware, are carried out by these special muscles. Digestion, excretion, except heartbeat, everything is regulated inside by smooth muscles. Now, as they say, this is the try this which will help to explain things a bit better. Hold your arm against your elbow 180 degree without closing your fist. Basically, if this is your arm, this is your elbow, straight line. There should not be break. Then bend the arm at the elbow through 90 degree. And then observe which muscles have contracted and relaxes. Now, the one thing of the muscles is that they don't work alone, they work in groups. When some contract, others relax. That is how the body movement supposedly occurs. Okay? So, you can read about the definition of biceps and triceps. This is simply the name of the muscles. As it is mentioned, biceps are okay without actually having a 3D body. It's really difficult to explain. Basically, on the front of the bone of our upper arm are bicep. Basically, what you can see, if you normally place your hand, what you see on the upper part are biceps and the lower part are triceps. Okay. Now, this is a good thing, always remember. Muscles of our body must be strong and efficient. Okay. So, to ensure that there should be sufficient protein and carbohydrates in our diet, and we must get regular exercise. The more we exercise, the more the muscles grow strong. Okay, we must sit with the straight back and not with the back hunched or bent. What happens is that as you move or as you sit in an improper posture, the back gets gradually adjusted to it. So, as I say, gradual changes occur in the structure of vertebrae. So, muscles are disturbed. Okay. During exercise, movement of heart muscles become more rapid. You can see your heartbeat becomes faster when you're exercising. Okay. Breathing too becomes faster, ensuring a sufficient supply of oxygen and nutrients to various parts of the body. Okay. Now let's come to digestive system. Okay. Now basically how what is digestion? So what is it? Conversion of food into a soluble form and its absorption into blood is called digestion. Okay. So basically what digestion is, you take the food, okay, maybe the wrong place to draw the diagram. So basically from eating to absorbing, everything is a part of digestion. Basically it's what you eat is absorbed by the blood. The blood then supplies the nutrients to cell. The cells use the nutrients to obtain energy, and all this happens in a chronological order. So let's see. What is it? The digestive tract consists of the alimentary canal and digestive glands. Okay. The total length of alimentary canal is about 9 meters. Actually, that is attributed by that the small intestine is actually very long. Okay, that may appear weird for some time. That why small intestine is longer than the large one, but that is how it is. So its main parts are the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. Okay, and the gland parts are salivary glands, liver, and pancreas. Okay, now let us see what is the function of each of the organ. Teeth. Now we know that there are 4 types of teeth: incisors, canine, premolar, molar. Incisor are used for the bite, basically when you bite into something. You bite an apple, you bite a carrot, you use the incisors. Canines actually, in humans, the use of canine is actually quite less. But in case of lions, you see, the canines are really big because the use of canine is to bite, not bite, it's to tear. So since we cut the food and eat it, so we really don't need canines for the tearing function. But lions, since they have to tear the flesh, the canines are really big. And premolar and molar are used for chewing. Okay. Okay. So there are four types of teeth as I defined: incisors, canine, premolars, and molars. Each tooth has a specific function, what we discussed right now. So each is covered by a hard substance called enamel. Enamel is made up of calcium salt. Calcium is actually a very good shell forming structure. Most of the shell that you will find in animal kingdom are actually some derivative of calcium. Okay, so saliva contains an enzyme called, now a few people call it ptyalin, some call it just ptyalin. Okay, so here I'll go with ptyalin because it's easier to pronounce. What does ptyalin do? Ptyalin converts starch into a sugar called maltose. Now, rice has some starch, so it is converted to sugar, which is maltose. Now, what are enzymes? Enzymes, okay, I don't know how it appeared. Enzymes are basically a chemical. For example, that suppose a particular reaction takes 5 minutes, but I want that same reaction to happen in 2 minutes. So what I do is I use a catalyst to improve the speed of reaction. Now, enzymes are basically biological catalysts. Okay, so as they say the box, enzymes are substances secreted in the body of an organism which bring about specific chemical changes. Now, because the body, most of the things in the body are practically impossible without the use of enzyme. Okay, and enzymes act as biological catalyst and they're made of proteins. Okay, they are active at normal body temperature, that is 37 degrees Celsius for most of us. Okay, so now I'll start in an orderly fashion, that you eat the food and then what happens. Okay, first of all you eat the food by your mouth. Okay, then digestion begins. Food is chewed by teeth into very small parts, and then salivary glands start to act. Okay, then where are salivary glands? In the mouth cavity, located in front of ear and near the pharynx and below the tongue. Okay, for example, the pharynx has been defined here, near the pharynx and below the tongue. Somewhere, let me change the color, somewhere in the red sphere. Okay, this is where you have salivary glands, and the saliva is mixed with the food we eat. Okay, and then what is the pharynx does? The esophagus and trachea open into pharynx. Okay, so first mouth, then pharynx, then to esophagus. What does esophagus does? It is a tube leading from a pharynx to the stomach. It pushes the food towards the stomach. Basically, there is muscle movement. So what muscle movement does is it tries to push the food down, and after pushing it, the food reaches the stomach. Now what happens in the stomach? Okay, it's a big box of stomach. Let me go closer. What is stomach? I am reading here. The large sac-like part of the alimentary canal is called stomach. Okay, basically it's how you define stomach. Now this is the important thing begins. The gastric glands of stomach secrete gastric juice. Okay, now what is it? The food that has entered stomach is churned. Churning like Okay, I can't define the verb here because it's a bit enough to explain. You can Google that about what's the meaning of churn. Now, one thing is that secret gastric juice, and gastric juice has various components that aid in the digestion. So, what are the three components of food? Namely, hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus. Okay, hydrochloric acid is highly acidic, and so the food also becomes acidic. Now, what happens is a bit of extra knowledge. Pepsin is an enzyme that is used for digestion of protein. But the problem with pepsin is it requires a highly acidic medium to function. So, hydrochloric acid is generated in this process. Okay. But if hydrochloric acid is quite concentrated, then the walls of the stomach may be destroyed. So, now what to do? To avoid that, a mucus is secreted. It actually covers this stomach layer so that the highly concentrated acid has virtually no effect on the stomach walls. Okay. Now, as the food leaves the stomach, there is a small part. You see, this is the boundary of stomach, and now before the food reaches small intestine, it's the time for liver and pancreas to act. So let's start with liver. Okay, liver is the largest gland in body. It has a rich supply of blood. What its use is, its main function is the storage of glucose. The gallbladder is situated below the liver. Yeah, this green structure is gallbladder. What it does, it stores the bile, the digestive juice secreted by the liver. Okay, liver has made some bile and it acts like a storage unit. Now, what's the function of bile? It is used for digestion of fat. So remember that digestion of carbohydrates has started in the mouth. Stomach digests the proteins and fats are started to digest when bile is there. So what the bile does is it helps in the digestion of fat, and in between stomach and small intestine this process starts. Okay, bile contains bile salts. Next come pancreas. What they do? They secrete pancreatic juice that contains various enzymes. Pancreas has many functions, but in digestion they have one function, to secrete various enzymes. After this, the food reaches small intestine. So as I said, small intestine is really long. The small intestine is about 6 meter long. Now what happens is half digested carbohydrates, half digested proteins, half digested fats, they reach in the small intestine. Okay, so now the three different juices are mixed. It also generates its own juices for a change with the food in small intestine. And when all this digestion is done, the food is completely broken. Absorption into the blood of nutrients obtained by digestion occurs here. So basically what small intestine does is it takes all sorts of food, mixes its own juice, does the final digestion and gives the end products to the blood so that it can transport it to the cells. And the final stage, large intestine. So it's about 1.5 meter long. Only water is absorbed. So every sort of food was taken up in the small intestine. The large intestine takes the water. An appendix is then attached to the first part. So some of the things that were undigested, some things that were not needed by the body, they enter the large intestine. Okay, and it is thrown out through anus. So what are the glands? So what does mouth do? Mouth has salivary gland that saliva secrete betylene and it converts starch to maltose. As I've explained, yeah, hydrochloric acid is used to make food acidic. Pepsin is used to break proteins. and mucus is used to protect the inner lining of stomach. So what does liver generate? Bile. Now the one thing is that the food generated by stomach is very acidic. Stomach has mucus to protect itself from the highly acidic acid. Now, but other parts of digestive systems don't have that. So the acid can create problems for them. So what one of the other function bile does is to make the food alkaline and then to break large fat particles into small ones. Small fat particles are easy to absorb. So now what does pancreatic juice does? It has three components: trypsin, lipase, amylase. So one thing, a way to remember is lipid is another term for fat. So what does lipase? Lipase, lipase is related to fat. It does is convert fat into fatty acids and glycerol. Similarly, amylase. Remember that even in the case of saliva, okay, it's another name for ptyalin is salivary amylase. It's not mentioned here. But what amylase does is converts complex carbohydrate into simple sugar. Okay, and what trypsin does to convert proteins to amino acids. Okay, so while by remember the fats weren't digested till now, so liver and the pancreatic juice lipase, both the juices combined, they act on fats to digest them. So what does small intestine do? It does the final processes so that the end products may be given to blood. So what they do is convert proteins into amino acids, which is the very basic structure, carbohydrates to glucose. Again, glucose is basic and it can be easily taken up by a cell. Then fatty acids and glycerol from fats. So these three are very, let me underline. Okay. These amino acid, glucose and fatty acids and glycerol. These four are very basic compounds that cells can easily absorb. Okay, so everything is done. Now, one thing is that physical health is extremely important. Okay, so when all our organs function quite well, it's good. But habits like smoking, chewing of tobacco, drinking alcohol, they affect our health very badly. So what they do is that if you can no, tobacco has a chemical which actually harms, as it is written, the mouth, pharynx, alimentary canal and other organs. Okay, and that's why they cannot function properly. It causes problem, as they say, like vomiting, nausea and headache. Okay, so basically tobacco is actually a really bad thing, if I have to continue about it. And its side effects you can see right now as I read the side effects. It causes problem like vomiting, nausea and headache. Besides, this is the main function. Problem stick to teeth, gums and skin of the mouth cavity and slowly cause injury to those parts, resulting in their dysfunction. So basically, when you eat tobacco, your teeth, your gums and skin, they are highly negatively impacted. They swell up, they cause pain, and in some extreme cases they may result in death. So one, you should try to keep the society, the teachers and everyone as tobacco free. And if you find someone having tobacco, just inform the concerned parent or teacher. Okay, thank you.